Meanwhile, Yunna arrived at Wobin's place and helped him inside. He thanked her for bringing him home, and she simply smiled, saying she had to. She didn't want anything to happen to him. Wobin told her she could leave since he was going to bed, and Yunna watched as he went upstairs. Later, as Wobin sat on his bed, the memory of what had happened with Yunna troubled him. He regretted kissing her and told himself that he shouldn't have done it. As he prepared for bed, there was a knock on his door. It was Yunna, asking if she could come in. Panicked, Wobin quickly ran to the door and locked it. He stood by the door, listening as Yunna explained that she had brought him water and wanted to make sure he was okay. Wobin didn't respond, hoping she would think he had fallen asleep and leave. He then heard her footsteps retreating, and he sighed in relief before finally getting into bed. The next morning, Minsu and Sunjin sat together having breakfast. Sunjin watched her as she ate, happy that he would get to have such mornings with her for the rest of his life. He couldn't wait to finally make her his wife. Minsu noticed his stare and smiled, asking if there was something on her face. Sunjin shook his head and told her he was simply admiring her beauty. He reminded her that they had a meeting with the wedding planner that afternoon and that he would come to pick her up. Minsu looked at him, and a small worry crept into her heart. Everything was going so well, and that scared her. She feared that something might go wrong. Sunjin, noticing her concern, took her hands and reassured her. He told her that they deserved this happiness, especially after everything they had been through. Standing up, he pulled her into his arms and assured her that he wouldn't let anything bad happen to her. He then told her he had to go to the office, but would be back in the afternoon. Minsu, sad to see him leave, wished they could spend every minute together. He kissed her forehead and promised to return soon before walking out. Minsu sat back down and continued eating her breakfast, silently praying that everything would continue to go smoothly. Meanwhile, Wobin stood in his room, dressed for work, still haunted by what had happened the night before. He regretted getting intimate with Yunna, realizing just how intoxicated he had been. His intention had only been to push her away, but things had taken an unexpected turn. Frustrated, he hit his forehead and sighed. As he walked into the kitchen, he was shocked to find Yunna there. She greeted him with a bright smile and told him she had made him a hangover soup. Wobin, still in disbelief, asked why she was still there. Yunna explained that it had been too late to leave the night before, so she had stayed in a spare room. She then urged him to sit down and eat. Still stunned, Wobin sat and took a spoonful of the soup. Yunna watched him expectantly, asking if he liked it. Ignoring the question, Wobin tried to bring up the previous night, apologizing for what had happened. Yunna, however, brushed it off, saying they were both adults and there was no need to apologize. Wobin insisted that he had been drunk and that he shouldn't have done that, especially since he saw her as a little sister. Yunna's expression changed. She had hoped that after what happened, he would start seeing her differently. Hurt, she reminded him that she was almost 20 and that she genuinely cared for him. She asked him to at least give her a chance. Wobin stood up and firmly told her that what she wanted was impossible between them. He was willing to be her friend, nothing more. But Yunna didn't want to be just friends. Without warning, she stepped closer and kissed him. Wobin, unable to control himself, wrapped his arms around her waist and kissed her back. When she pulled away, she looked into his eyes and told him that if he thought she was too innocent, then she was willing to gain experience with him. Then, without another word, she walked out, leaving Wobin standing there, regretting yet another kiss.